guys, and welcome back to the Hedgerow kitchen. Now today what I'm going to show you how to make are my rabbit and wild garlic sausages. Now these are absolutely fantastic sausage for this time of year. It's early March at the moment, but the great thing about rabbit is you can actually get it all year round in the UK and a lot of places across the world. And wild garlic is in season at the moment. Now, if you watch this video and it's not wild garlic season, don't worry too much. You can replace this wild garlic with onions or leeks or something like that. Or to be perfectly honest with you, you can just do a wild rabbit sausage. So I'm going to include the wild garlic in today because I'm including it in all my recipes at the moment because it's such a wonderful ingredient. And this is all you're going to need to make these sausages. The great thing about sausages is take your time, enjoy yourself. It doesn't have to be a fast, speedy process. And it is a great end product as well. I'm telling you, rabbit tastes absolutely amazing. So, in terms of what you're going to need for this recipe, you're going to need, firstly, you're going to need yeastless bread rusk. Now, this stuff is what's going to bind all the flavours together in your sausage, and it's what's going to give you that real nice juicy banger. Now, in this recipe, what you're going to need is around 270 grams of yeastless bread rusk. And you can get this stuff a lot of places. In fact, you can even make it yourself. I will give it a go in the future, but for now, I'll link in the show notes to a Scott Ree video, which shows you how to make yeastless bread rusk. But I get mine from a place called Weschenfelder. Weschenfelder are fantastic for rusks, anything to do with sausages and seasoning in particular. So you're going to need 270 grams of rusk. Next, you're going to need some pork back fat. Now, rabbit is so lean. What we don't want to do is do a pure rabbit sausage because without any fat in there, the flavour's really not going to carry through. So use pork back fat. Now, you don't generally get this on supermarket shelves. You could use pork belly, but I prefer to go to a butcher's and ask butchers whether they have any pork back fat, and they'll cut it for you. Generally, as I said, they won't have it on the shelf, but if you ask for pork back fat for sausages, any good butcher will know exactly what you mean. So in terms of the fat, you're going to need around 540 grams for this recipe. Next, you're going to need cold water. So you're going to need about 540 ml of cold water for this. So that's to mix in with your rusk, which is one of the first things we're going to do as part of this recipe because we've got to let that puff up. So about 540 grams of water. Wild garlic wise, completely and utterly to your taste. I've got about 75 grams of wild garlic here. How amazing does that stuff look? And I'm telling you, it smells just as good. Great ingredient. One of the allium family, closely related to kind of chives, but just an amazing flavour that should really complement the rabbit nicely. But I've got 75 grams of wild garlic here. Then seasoning wise, you can go out and make your own seasoning. There's plenty of recipes online, but to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of places online do pre-made seasoning and they're just as good. This, as I said before, is from Weschenfelder. Again, I'll put the links in the comments to this video. And I've got about 130 grams of seasoning here. Now, what I've gone for today is I've actually gone for a Cumberland Sausage Seasoning. I've never used this one in before, but I'm sure it'll be lovely because I've used it in other sausages. It's not a rabbit sausage, but it smells incredible and it'll be a really nice flavour. So what I've got is 100 grams here. Really simple. Then you're going to need sausage skins. Again, would you believe it? I've got these guys from Weschenfelder and these are called hog casings. So they produce you a nice wide banger. Not your thin small chipolata. This is going to be a nice chunky sausage. So these probably cost you about tenner for 4 spools. And for me, I've got a sausage making machine and it's so easy just to spool your sausage casing straight on rather than having to faff around finding the end of it. So I highly recommend getting these sausage casings. And then the star of the show, you've got rabbit. Now, you know, truth be told, I'm not going to be using just one rabbit in this. I'm probably going to be using about 4 rabbits. But this is a skinned out rabbit, head taken off, guts out. I think the kidneys are still in. And I got this from my local game dealer. Absolutely fantastic specimen. And I can just tell it's going to taste really nice. Now I'm going to do a rabbit butchery tutorial and I'll link that in when I've done it. I haven't actually done it yet. But for now, this is a skinned out rabbit and I'm going to show you how to actually take the bones out of this rabbit ready for this sausage. And that's all you're going to need. Actually, all to mention, rabbit wise, in terms of lean meat, we're going to need about 1.8 kilos of this stuff. It's going to taste amazing. And if you're ready, the first thing we need to do is get this rusk prepared so it puffs up nicely in the fridge. So, on to the first stage of the video. So guys, first stage of making these rabbit sausages is to prepare your rusk. Now the rusk will form basically the agent that makes your sausages really juicy and really delicious. And this stuff, just to repeat, is yeastless bread rusk from Weschenfelder. Now we've got 270 grams of the stuff here, and all we need to do is add that to the water. Now it's a way that I learned when I first started making sausages, is always add the rusk to the water, not the water to the rusk. Probably would be no different, but it's just the way I like to do it. So we've got 270 grams of rusk here, and we have 540 ml of nice cold water here. So all we need to do is get that rusk, add it in, and then get your hands involved. What we need to do is you need to just get this to a consistency where it's soaked up the first part of the water. And what we're going to do is we're going to pop this in the fridge for about an hour to an hour and a half, or just until all that rusk has soaked up all that water and there's no liquid left at the bottom. There we go, you can already see it's really starting to soak in, and that's only after about 30-40 seconds. So we'll leave that straight in the fridge, and then we'll add that to our sausage to make an amazing flavour. So there we go. Really, really simple, but do this first. Do this before you've done anything else, because otherwise if you do this halfway through, you're going to be waiting a couple of hours whilst this soaks up. So again, 270 grams of rusk, 540 ml of water, mix it up with your hand, get it in the chill for a couple of hours. So guys, alongside getting your rusk ready, the only thing else you need to do at the start of the process is to get, if you've bought it this way, your sausage, your hog casings soaked in some warm water, because these come, I don't know whether you can see, in loads and loads of salt. And we don't want that to be all over your sausage skins when you make your sausages. And it also, the warm water loosens it up and makes it far easier to spool onto your sausage making machine. So really, really simple. If you just get your sausage casings like this, it's exactly the same if you have just sausage casings not on a spool. But just get your sausage casings, get some lukewarm water and squeeze it in there. Unfortunately, I don't really have a vessel that fits this spool in at a perfect length, so I'm going to have to keep moving it. But yeah, if you leave it in some warm water for probably the same amount of time as the rusk, an hour to an hour and a half, you should be absolutely fine. And then those sausage skins will be perfect for spooling onto your sausage making machine and making your sausages. Now, on to the next stage. So guys, the next stage of this process, and this is only relevant, by the way, if you do have a whole rabbit like this. If you've already got a boned out rabbit, completely skip this stage, forward on this video to the next stage of the process. But for the purposes of this video, the next stages are to get the bones out of this bunny. Now, if you look at him, it's a super, super lean animal, and this is how I bought it from my game dealers. So often, if you do go to a game dealer's, it will be prepared like this. So the guts have been taken out, of course it's been skinned, and it's a really, really clean specimen there. So what we want to do, just so you know, you can see the fillets here, we're going to take the fillets out, and then we're going to take the rib cage out and all the bones here, and then we're going to basically take the spine out, cut down here, and take that entire boned part out. So all we're going to be left with are the loin fillets, you've got the fillets here, and some of the breast meat as well. We're then going to take the legs off, and we're going to bone these legs out, and we're going to take the front legs off as well, and as best we can bone them out, because they're fiddly little blighters, these ones here. So I'm going to just twist this around because this is the way I like to butcher. First things first, just get a pair of scissors. Oh, and I ought to say, all you need for this is just a sturdy pair of scissors, ideally butcher's scissors, but these aren't, these will do, and a boning knife. Now, it's not completely essential, but a boning knife is one of the two knives, in my opinion, you're going to need for all butchery. And make sure it's just a nice sharp one as well. So, first things first, get your scissors and just cut down the breastbone and open this rabbit out. Just makes things a bit easier. And you know what, guys, if you get a bit of smell at this stage, don't sweat too much. It's a dead animal after all, and if you're doing this and worried about smells, you probably shouldn't be butchering. Yes, animals do smell at this stage, but I'm telling you, when this reaches the sausage, it's going to taste wonderful. So if you can see here, and actually, you know, I don't know whether everyone who's watching this knows this, this is actually where your fillet steaks come from. So if you went to a really posh restaurant and you wanted a rabbit fillet steak, which will probably never be served because it's titchy, these are your fillets. So what you want to do is get your knife, go alongside the fillet. You just want to take them out. I told you they were titchy. Look at them. So you want like that, and then you get your fillet from the other side. We want to get as much lean meat off this for our sausages as humanly possible, because it'll all add to the flavour. There we go, there's your other fillet. I'm telling you, yeah, there is a bit of a putrid smell with rabbits, but it's going to make for really tasty meat at the end of it. If you get any little off bits like this that you can't use, just take them aside and put them aside, because I'm not going to waste any of this rabbit whatsoever. I'm going to use it for stock. So what you need to do next is just find your fingers there, and you'll find the little bones, basically the end of the rib cage, poking out here. Now use that as just a guide for your knife. Go down as far as your knife will go, which is be down to the spine, and do the same the other side. Find these bones along here, use them as a guide for your knife. Let your knife drift down as far as it will go. And what that is doing, these are actually your loin steaks. So that you can get these in a lot of posh restaurants, rabbit loin. It's super, super tasty, pan fried. So what we want to do is follow it down there, go as far up the rabbit as possible. And the thing about this, because we're making sausages, we don't need to be particularly pretty about this. This isn't a boned out rabbit. We need to get the meat off this, because it's going to go through a mincer anyway. So next stage, you want to make sure that your thighs are broken off. I can see that mine are. You see that's the top of the thigh ball and socket joint, and this side actually hasn't been done. So I've just got to break it against there. And again, that's your ball and socket exposed there. And we use our knife to follow it all the way down. This is your tailbone here. And you just want to cut it out like that. And we can cut all the way through to the wood here. Don't be afraid. Get that all cut off. We've got one loin there and one leg. And we're going to do exactly the same this side. There we go. And like I said, don't waste any of the animal. In my opinion, if you're going to throw this away, all these bones, that's all just a waste of an animal. I believe that if an animal has died for us, then we need to show it the honour it deserves and use every single part of it. Now, we've got to this stage, got the spine out. Now, if you find the rib cage, which is pretty easy to find, use your knife to just trace the edge of the rib cage. We want to get as much of this breast meat off as possible. It's a bit fiddly. But you can see there is actually a little gap between the rib cage and the breast meat. I'm just going to follow, use your knife, follow the ribs round, and take that breast meat off. Because this is all going to be great flavouring in our sausages. Do the same the other side. And just follow those ribs down. And there we go, as you can see, we're exposing the ribs. And there we go. Yeah, there's a few little offcuts you can put aside here, but don't sweat too much. And then what you can do here is you can finish off taking that loin off. Oh, it's a bit fiddly in here, I've missed a rib. Rookie mistake. There we go. So, you want to take that loin off. Don't want to waste any meat whatsoever, guys. And you can see that, and then what we need to do then is follow, down from the elbow of the front arm. Just cut down until your knife meets the other side. And there we have it. So you've got your entire loin there. You've got your back leg, breast meat, so just pop that there. We'll bone that out in a minute. We'll do exactly the same the other side. Make sure you haven't missed any ribs, because I'm telling you, you don't want to be sending bones through your mincer. Just check all them are out. What's going on here? Yep, again, I've missed that last rib. That's why it's making it difficult. And then what we do is just trace it down there. You don't want to miss any of this meat. You want as much meat as possible for your sausage. Now I said for this recipe, you need 1.8 kilos of rabbit meat, but you can kind of estimate it up or down as you wish. If you want to make a bigger batch, just hopefully we'll make about 20 sausages. There we go, there's that one there, so it's the same. And there we go, what we have here is we've got your front legs, we've got the rib cage, this is going to go into our stock. There's your lovely little titchy fillets, pop that there. What we want to do is just take the middle part of the rabbit out now. So just use your common sense. That's the neck, that's the rib cage. Follow your knife all the way down. You shouldn't meet with much resistance here because actually shoulders aren't held on by bone, they're actually held on by muscle. So you don't need to cut through any bone whatsoever. And there we go, there's your front leg off. There we go, the other side, front leg off. And there we have it. That's a boned out rabbit for you. So I'm gonna pop that here because I stupidly haven't brought a bowl with me. And next stage, guys, if you can see okay. In fact, you know what, I am gonna get a bowl. Note to self, always have a bowl on the side. So we have a bowl here for your little offcuts and roasting stuff, which is going to taste amazing. So next step, shoulders there. I'm going to show you how to bone out a shoulder. So first things first, we've got a loin here. Let's just chop that loin off. So that is ready once it's all been chopped up for the mincer for our sausage. There we go, you can see a back leg there. And the great thing about muscles, if you ever need to know how to break them down, generally speaking, it's the same in deer, it's the same in rabbit. You see these lines here, essentially use them as tracing paper. So that is where the bone's going to be. So if we cut straight down that line, we should reach the bone, and straight down that line too. As predicted, there is your exposed bone. Right there. So what we want to do now is we just want to use the knife, get under there, get as much of this meat off as possible. As I said, we don't need to be too pretty about this. Just take the meat off as you wish. But you're just going to need to use your knife. It's quite difficult to explain exactly how, but just trace around the edge of this socket and take all the meat off. It's exactly the same, like I said, in the deer, exactly the same. And there we have it. That's the socket there. Yes, there's a bit of meat left on, but that's going to provide some amazing flavours for some rabbit stock. Just take it round and just use your knife to get around the bone as best you can. And take off all this usable meat. And there we have it. That is one boned out back rabbit leg. Done. Look at that. That's going straight into my stockpile. So we've got a loin, got boned out leg. Let's just do the other leg nice and quickly. I'll just give you a bit of a recap on how to do this. So like I said, use the lines as a guide. We have a line there, a line there. Use your knife, go straight down. As much as this is going through a mincer, we don't want to spoil it. Butchery should not be rushed. This is an art and it should be enjoyed. That's why I could easily hack off all this meat. But what's the point? We've got to do this rabbit the honor it deserves. It was shot for us. It's going to feed me and my family, and we should butcher it properly. Right, follow that bone. Go right up in there. I'm sure I'll get some butchery aficionados now saying, well, you're not holding that knife correctly, but you know what? I'm self-trained. You're going to get things wrong every now and again. There we go, I've exposed that. We just need to trace down alongside. Use your hands to figure out where the bone actually is. That's your edge. And use your knife. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. there's your socket exposed, and the final bit is just take it off the foreleg, or the back, sorry, the forebit of the back, part of the back legs. There we go, it's your second boned out leg, easy peasy, ready for the mincer, going in the stock pot. There's a little offcut, I'll go in the mincer too. Next thing to do, guys, is the rather fiddly shoulders. I always get mixed up here. And what you want to do is just get as much meat as you can off here. This is a bit harder to do it really, really neatly, but if you can see, you've got a plate bone there. It's basically the shoulder socket. Get your knife down it, trace it along there. So what you want to do is use the end of your knife, figure out where the end of that is, and just go underneath if you can. I actually find this a really satisfying part of the animal to do when I'm butchering a deer. I quite like tracing along the shoulder bone, and it's really satisfying when you can get it out in one piece and not have lost too much meat. There we go. Sorry, I hope this is clear for you all. If it's not, well, just get experimenting is what I'd say. Right, I think that's about as much as I'm getting off that bit. Right, there's a nice big chunky bit of meat. And then what we have, we've started the process of the shoulder. And again, like I said, use the lines as tracing. So if we go along that line, we're bound to expose the muscle, the bone, sorry, which is right along there. You want to cut that off. As I said, the shoulders are the least easy part to do really neatly. So there we go, there's a bit of lean meat there. And you have your second bit of lean here. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to get a tremendous amount more off there. Maybe a bit there, but that's going straight in the stock pot. Final leg. Take all the little bits off. Bit of fat there, never went amiss. Yeah. I want to get as much of this meat off as possible. Oh, this is a lean little bugger, this guy, which is good. He's obviously lived a nice life, run along, eating a lot of Mr. McGregor's veg, and I am struggling to get much more off this guy. You know what, there's a nice bit of meat right there, which I'm going to stick my knife in, take all them off, and I think I might have to call that one a day on that leg. And there you have it. That is one, come on, boned out, rabbit, stock pot, mincing pile, loin. There we have it. One whole boned out rabbit in just over 10 minutes. Easy peasy. I'm going to do that with 3 more now and get on with the sausages. Hi guys, so the next stage of this process is to get the first mincing of your rabbit meat and also your pork back fat through the mincer for the first time. Now what I've done is this here is 4 rabbits, 1.8 kilos worth, all the lean meat, cleaned off, and chopped into dice-sized bits. So it smells absolutely amazing, and it's been sat actually in the freezer for about 15 minutes, getting really cold. Exactly the same as this. So this is my pork back fat, got 540 grams here. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure everything is cold in this process. You might be able to see that I've got little ice crystals on my actual mincer head, which is freezing cold. And you want everything to be cold in sausage making. So, without further ado, let's start getting this through the mincer for the first mincing. And what I'm going to do is put the lean meat through first and then the fat. It would help if I actually turn my mincer on. What a rookie error. Here we go. So So there we have it. That's all your lean rabbit through the mincer, really, really cold. And I should have explained before, the reason why you want it cold is when especially you put the fat through, you don't want the fat to melt because this is going to get warm. This is not a super high expensive mincer. It's fairly entry level, so it will get quite warm. So you want to overcompensate and make sure it's cold. Anyway, without further ado, let's get the pork back fat in. And there we have it. There is your lean rabbit, your pork back fat. Now let's just get that all combined, get that all mixed up. That's going to form the base for these, hopefully, wonderful, wonderful sausages. So keep your fingers separated. We don't want to squeeze this all together. We don't want the fat to mix together. We want it all to nicely combine. And I'm telling you, because this has been in the freezer, my fingers feel like ice crystals at the moment. Absolutely frozen cold. Now, let's get that all mixed in so we've got a nice, evenly spread fat to lean ratio. To be honest with you, right now, what I'm thinking I should have done is just put the fat in with the rabbit, but you know what? It's 6 one, half dozen the other, and you can't get things right every time, can you? So yeah, whether you guys choose to now put the fat through with the lean or put the fat through separately, it really doesn't matter, but I guess what you want to avoid is big bits of fat like this. So there we go, there's your lean meat, and now, oh, pop that bit back in, and now on to the next stage. So guys, next step, this has gone through the mincer once. What we want to do now is we want to add in our seasoning. So I've got 100 grams of Cumberland seasoning here. I'm gonna add that in. Afterwards, I'm gonna add in the rusk. So the rusk has been sat in the fridge for about 2 hours now, soaked up all that water, and it's ready to make our sausages really, really juicy. So, and then after that, I'll add in your wild garlic. So let's get all that seasoning in there. And again, get our hands involved. Let's give this a nice good stir. Tell you what, the smell is amazing. Absolutely incredible. I'm really excited about making these. Now it's actually, the day I'm filming this is actually Mothering Sunday here in the UK. So I can't wait to rustle up some rabbit sausages, rabbit and wild garlic sausages for my wife tonight, the mother of my daughter. It's gonna hopefully go down well. So I'll either do it in like a toad in the hole fashion, or we say bunny in the hole in our house. Oh god, perhaps actually that's the wrong phrase. Or I might just do bangers on mash, who knows. Anyway, so that's all nicely mixed up there. And what we want now is quickly go and wash my hands and get that rusk in. So, hands washed. We've got a rusk here. As I said, it's been sat in the fridge for about 2 hours. As you can see, it's soaked up all that water. It's actually really quite thick, so get your hand in there first. Again, like with the meat earlier, get your fingers separated. Give it a good mix. We don't want any big chunks, largely speaking. We want it all to be quite fine. So mix that all up. And we're gonna get that in here. So get that in with your sausage mix as best as possible. Now it's the time I realise maybe my bowl's not big enough. And what you want to do, get your hands in there and get this bind going. Now you're going to have to forgive me if a bit of this rusk goes on the table and it doesn't look particularly pretty. I've clearly chosen completely the wrong dish to use. So give us a nice good mix, and what we're going to do after this, we're going to get the wild garlic in there, which I've chopped down, and we're going to get it on chill again, because again, you want everything to be cold in sausage making. Really, really important, because now, especially now we've got the fat in here, this is actually going to go through the mincer yet again in the next stage of the process, and we don't want that mincer head to be too hot. We don't want it to spoil the texture of these sausages, because if you melt the fat in the sausages, what you get is that like smooth, like Richmond sausages. Now I know lots of people like Richmond sausages. I personally absolutely detest them because there's zero bite to them. It's completely and utterly smooth, and it just doesn't, it's not real sausages, it's lips and arseholes, as Scott Reed would say. And I hate that. So what we want to do is we want to avoid that. We want to have nice texturous banger, as I'm going to christen these bunny bangers. And there we go. That's mixing. What we'll do is after the next time we mince this, we're going to give it another mix in so it creates a real primary bind. But now I'm going to get the wild garlic in. And actually, I've got to say, I've pared down the size of this from the start of this video. At the start, I said 75 grams. I'm actually using only about 35 grams because I think this is going to be enough. I'll put that in the comments. And with this wild garlic, all I did, give it a quick wash, got any mud and critters off, and gave it a nice fine chop. So let's get that in there. And this is going to create that really lovely kind of green flecks throughout this sausage. It's going to look amazing. I love wild garlic. I'm fairly obsessional about it at the moment. If any of you guys follow me on Instagram, I think at this time of year I talk about wild garlic about 5 to 10 times a day. And I can well imagine a lot of people are getting fairly peed off with me talking about it so much, but you know what, I'm talking about it because it's an incredible ingredient. It smells amazing. I'm telling you, man, this sausage mix smells outrageously good, and it's just gone up a level. Absolutely up a level with this wild garlic in here. And you cannot tell me when you're looking at that that doesn't look absolutely awesome. It's going to taste great in a saucy. Right, there we go, giving that a good mix. Next stage of the process, guys, get that on chill, whether that's in the fridge or your freezer. You don't want it completely frozen, but you want it cold, because that's going to go through the mixer again. So on to the next stage, get it in the chiller, and then we're going to put it through the mincer one more time, and then we're going to start piping these bad boys. So guys, next stage of this process is to get your sausage mix, which has been sat on chill, actually in my freezer for a while. It's definitely not frozen, but it's really, really cold, through this mincer one more time. And I'm going to repeat it, and I'll keep repeating it. You need to have everything cold. So this mince head has been in the freezer also, so everything's cold so it doesn't melt the fat. So what we want to do is we want to put this through the mincer again and into this bowl. And I learnt my lesson from the last part of the video. The bowl I had wasn't big enough, and like they say in that immortal line in Jaws, we're going to need a bigger boat. And here is my bigger boat. This is my washing up bowl. It's nice and clean, don't worry, but I'm going to be using this to collect it in. So we're going to put it through the mix again. After that, we're going to get the primary bind going, and then it's time to start pumping these bad boys into the skins of the sausages. Now, I will put a disclaimer: if you hear bangs, my next door neighbour has decided to refelt his shed, and so I mean, these are things you have to put up with. But anyway, let's get going and let's get this through again. And there you have it. It's been through there twice now. And the next stage is to get a primary bind on this. So guys, this has gone through the mixer twice now. It's really nicely melded together, but there's one more step we need to do before this goes into the sausage casings, and that's to get what is called a primary bind. Now in the butcher's terms, that basically means you need this sausage to really bind together, so that when you cut into it, it doesn't just kind of crumble apart. You want it to stick together like you would do a good banger. So what you just need to do is get your hands in there and give it a play around. Use your fists, take your anger out on it, and just enjoy it. The great thing also about having everything so cold is this has been through the mixer again, As I said at the start, I have not got a big fancy posh mixer. My mixer is actually quite cheap. I hope one day, if the YouTube subscribers roll in, that I'm going to be able to afford a nice one. But it does the job at the moment. But you know what? I kept that cold, I kept this cold, and now this is still freezing cold, like almost too cold to need. Oh, my hands they're so cold. So what you want to do, actually it's easier to answer with one hand. Just use this, knead it, and you know when you've got a primary bind, because when you hold it up and you turn your hand the other way, it'll stick to your hand really well. And I'm telling you, this is, oh, blimey, it's freezing. This must be one of my main catchphrases, but the smell here is amazing. These are gonna be some great saucies. And I'm gonna christen them the Hedgerow Kitchen Bunny Bangers. And I'm absolutely sure if I do that and I put it on YouTube, I'm gonna get a lot of very choice marketing happening, people contacting me, purely because I've got the word bangers in there. But it's a risk I am willing to take, because these are bunny bangers. They're rabbit sausages. Rabbit and wild garlic sausages. And you know what? There's going to be plenty of rabbits out there who eat wild garlic. And I actually got my rabbits, which were shot last week, from an area which is rich in wild garlic. So there's a large likelihood that these rabbits, which are in here, which is 4 rabbits worth of meat, probably ate this actual wild garlic, which is in here, which is kind of cool, really. I mean, I know it doesn't float everyone's boat, but for me, the provenance of my food, where I get it, what it means, is incredibly important, and it just gives me that connection to what I'm putting in my mouth. And I really hope if you're watching this video in the first place, you have a similar feeling, because I think what we eat is just so important. I'm with the vegans, you know. I never thought I'd say that. I can't stand factory farming. I think it should be outlawed globally. I think we should eat more wild food, and I'm probably shooting myself in the foot by saying that, because the price of wild food will probably go up tenfold. But like, factory farming is abominable. But these rabbits lived a completely wild life. Yeah, they probably ran from Mr. McGregor more times than they could count, but they lived a completely wild life. No pesticides, no no, oh gosh, what's the word? Antibiotics, that's the one. They lived a proper existence, and when they were shot, they would never have known it had happened. Anyway, right, and you know what, one thing, I'm going to take this opportunity to ask you guys, if you are enjoying this video, please, if you like the video, comment on it, and chuck me a subscribe. I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. I don't like to be beggy and requesty, but you know, in this day and age, unless you get interaction on your page, you just don't take it anywhere, and I really, really want to make this page successful. Anyway, let's see. So that, to me, looks pretty well bound, and that's the acid test. Look, that is not coming off my fingers easily. That is a well bound sausage. In fact, it's not coming off at all. So that's that, guys. Next stage is to get these gorgeous rabbit sausages into the casings, and I can't wait to eat these. So we have our primary bind now, which is in here, and now is the time to pipe these sausages on through our sausage machine. Now this again is the same machine as I use for mincing, but I've just got a sausage piping element here. One day I will earn enough money to have my own sausage piper, but this will have to do for now. So all you have to do at this stage is just wet the nozzle, and then you've got your sausage skins, which have been soaking for about an hour and a half, and just find the end, which I'm clearly struggling to do. There we go. And then you feed it onto the end of here. You need to keep this wet so it actually goes on there nice and easily. and you'll probably need to top this up a few times throughout the sausage piping process. There we go. You may also see another pair of hands up here, and that is my wife, because by the very nature of my sausage piping machine, you cannot do it single-handedly. I just ripped that. No, I haven't ripped that. You can't do it single-handedly, so she's going to give me a hand in piping these. In fact, able assistant, can you get me a sharp knife, please? Because I'll need to cut this up. She's like Columbo's wife, she doesn't talk. Right, if you could just put it down here, please. Thank you very much. Right, probably almost got enough on there. I think that's probably about enough for the first go. So, just pull it out a bit, have a bit of extra hog casing, and cut it off. Keep that aside. Now, you don't want to tie a knot in this. I did actually in my venison sausage video, and I actually think that was a bit of an error, because then you create air bubbles. So what you want to do is when we turn this on, you're not going to sit here, but it's going to pipe through, and then you're going to lightly pinch the end, and whoever's holding this end just needs to feed it through as it gets pushed through. So, sounds really simple, but it's actually fairly laborious task, and if you're in the position I am, your back ends up wrecking by the end of it. But anyway, here goes nothing. Let's pipe these sausages. Oh, and finally, there we have it. There are your sausages done. Ah, core blimey, it's a bit taxing on the old back. Right, I'm gonna move that over. And all that needs to get done now, guys, I mean, you may have seen in the video, I've already tied a set of these, is to tie them off. Now, I am no expert at tying sausages. I'm really learning as I go. What I would suggest is actually following a video by Scott Reed, which shows just how to tie sausages. I'll put that in the comments. But nevertheless, I'm going to give it a go, because nothing ventured, nothing gained. So here goes nothing. Oh, first things first, I've got to tie the end off. Tie the end off. Clean my hands. And let's get tying. And what I would say is if you see any air bubbles, just poke them out, little poke. So I quite like a big sausage, no pun intended. So tie the sausages to the size you want, match it off, tie it again. I really hope I'm doing this right. If Scott Ree ever watches this, Scott, listen mate, get in touch, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Okay, then I think what you do, there's a few more air bubbles there, then match it off again, pinch it, twist it. God, they smell good. Pinch it and twist it. Then I think this is what you do. So, you've done those two, put that over there, tuck those two together, okay, and then I think we do the same again here. Again guys, really, I will not be offended if you skip over this part of the video because I know I'm probably doing this wrong, but got to learn new things in life. That is kind of the whole point of the Hedgerow kitchen. And so, I think, there we go. Now, that is by no means an exact science, but I think that's basically a link. Okay, then, gosh, it's so difficult. You know what? What the easiest thing to do at this point is speed up the video. And there you have it. Admittedly, not the best tied sausages in the world, but what you have here are the Hedgerow Kitchen's wild rabbit and wild garlic sausages, and I cannot wait to get stuck into them. Great thing in my mind about any sausage making is it's a real process. It's not like doing any other recipe. There are levels to it. You can take your time and really enjoy it. And I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed making these. Admittedly, it's been slightly sore on my back with my sausage machine. Note to self, get another one. But here's the finished result, and they're absolute beauties. And I can tell you they smell amazing. So out of four rabbits, that got me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23 sausages. Now, we'll probably have 2 sausages each on a night, my wife and I. So, how many did I say? 23, 4, 8, 12. So that's going to be 6 nights worth of dinners there. And that barely cost anything. Those rabbits cost, I think, £2 each. Wild garlic was free. The pork back, that was about £2 in total. This is the cheap, nutritional, wild food, really sustainable. But you know what they say? The proof is in the eating. But I can't eat these until tomorrow because the next stage with having with sausage making is you've got to hang these guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang them in my fridge with plenty of air around for probably the next 24 hours. And you'll be able to see actually that the skin will start to get a bit tougher and the links in between the sausages will dry up a bit, which is exactly what you want. That will mean your bangers won't explode in the pan. And again, I'll be able to cook it then. So join me for the next part of this video, which will be in 24 or so hours time, when I'm going to cook one of these for my dinner or some of these for my dinner tomorrow night, and I'll let you know exactly how they taste. Now, let's go and hang them. So, here we go. These guys have been in the oven at 200 degrees for about 20 minutes and they look awesome. I mean, check that out. That is a hell of a nice looking sausage. I never thought I'd say that phrase too often, but really chuffed with the look of that. Pretty hot still. And you know what? Now's the time to start eating. Actually, before I mention that, the great thing about this sausage is it's actually held together really well. And what I mean by that is it hasn't exploded. The sausage meat hasn't come out the ends of the sausage. There's a bit of rippage here, but the reason for that is because I hung the sausage in the fridge to dry with some good air circulation for 24 hours. If I piped this sausage and cooked it immediately, likelihood is it would have probably exploded. But I'm really chuffed with that, so it's well worth doing if you're going to make this sausage. But anyway, it's all in the tasting, so let's give this a go. Look at that. Oh, wow. That's such a nice texture. So hot. Such a really nice balanced level of seasoning. Not too much, not too little, and the wild garlic comes through beautifully. I am so happy with that sausage. That is an absolute corker. Easily the best one I've made to date. And what a flavour. You know what, this is all wild food. Yes, there's some pork back fat in there, and that's probably a farmed animal, but 80% of that is wild rabbit. And the rest of it is seasoning and also wild garlic as well. So that's largely wild food, and it tastes amazing for it. Honestly, you guys, you've got to try this. Get hold of rabbit at your butcher's or wherever you get hold of it, because that is one hell of a flavoursome sausage, and I guarantee you're going to like it. So anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you enjoy making this wonderful, wonderful product, and whoever you serve it to equally enjoys it. I'm about to put a big blob of mash on a plate and some onion gravy and sit down and enjoy it with my wife. And I really hope she likes the taste of it as much as I do. If you enjoyed this video, please like and comment on the video. It goes a long way, and it gives me good feedback to make better videos in the future. And please also subscribe to my channel in the bottom right hand corner. Every subscribe goes a long way to building the channel and making sure I know what you want and I can produce videos that you want to see. Until next time, enjoy your sausage making. If you have any questions, just let me know, get in touch, and I'll see you soon.